Hey, hey, beautiful people. Oh, of course, it's 11:22 in the morning on 6/18/2014. God, I couldn't plan that better. Uh, the guys behind me are fixing potholes. Uh, they're repairing the roads here, and funny because it feels like spiritually we're fixing a bunch of potholes right now ourselves. There's been so much going on. It is just truly, truly amazing. I have not posted my vids the past several days, although I've made several of them because it concerns Tom and Kim, hospital staff, family members, and that's all a reflection of what's going on globally as we're going through this next gateway, the summer solstice gateway. It's hard to express everything that's going on. It really is. I'm gonna post the vids today because I spoke with Kim Fuller and Tom about the discussion of what's going on with all of us, our experiences. Tom is going through his stroke and going through a healing process, and is also having out of body experiences and walk ins come through, shamanistic walk ins, and his 3D family is seeing it and think he's going crazy and thinks everything's woo woo and wants to give drugs and the 3D way of doing things, which could eventually take him down. It's a most delicate situation that we're doing in this personal experience that we are collectively having together, and that Tom seemingly knew was coming forth and was telling me, "You've got to come here. You've got to come here quick," um, and had been for some time, which I wouldn't have done unless what all unfolded in my home in Ocean Springs had unfolded the way that it did. And it's a really wild and interesting thing. And today we keep on having the planes, the Raptors, the new military planes from the Air Force Base just south of here, literally flying right over this apartment, right over this portal. And I mean at stall speed. And they're flying two by two, and they're flying like that coming in. And you might be hearing that as I'm doing this video. We haven't had that for a week or more, and today it's repeating, repeating, repeating. It's been going on all morning long. Um, Persons who know the situation with Tom have been asking me what's going on, and to give them updates, and it is in a constant state of change. Yesterday at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, he got transferred out of his hospital room at the same place where he was originally taken to ICU in when he first had the aneurysm and couldn't breathe, and we took him in. He asked to get the ambulance, which I was going, thank goodness. I had no idea how to deal with the situation at that point. And so, the Western medicine has really, really helped out a lot. We've been cooking good organic meals and staying pretty close to his blood type regimen for his AB negative blood type. And anyway, yesterday at 3 in the afternoon, they released him from the hospital to go to the rehab hospital. And his son and Kim and I all followed the transport over to the new rehab hospital, and Tom was really cutting up, doing great, and was pulling through very fast. It was pretty amazing, and we were getting a lot of paperwork signed for all the what ifs, and there were some good looking female nurses around, and you could tell Tom was coming back to himself because he's a flirt. And he's very much like me in a lot of ways. And anyway, he was checking out the female nurse. We were kind of joking behind the scenes. She didn't know what was going on, but I could tell he was up and going. And right around 5:30 in the afternoon, I was on my bicycle. I'd ridden all over town and then out stopping to the hospital to see him, and to find that the transport was going from the old hospital to the new hospital. And I rode my bike over there, and about 5:30 I knew I had to ride home. And I thought to cook him something and bring back up there, but the hospital had provided a plate of food, frickin' hamburger and brown gravy, MSG special, for a stroke patient. It's really brilliant. But anyway, I'd asked him if and Kim if I should cook for them, and they were like, no, they felt that the hospital food would be good. So it's okay. I mean, that's a personal choice. We're all making them all the time, and there's nothing we can do about anybody else's personal choice. And this wasn't necessarily a bad personal choice. It was just a choice. And so I rode home and started checking my messages and finding out that what I was experiencing in my last video that I have not posted, but I will post today, about seeing so many old friends and family members. I was called to fly into home, and I was flying into what seemed to be like Tampa and driving north to Dunellen, but all my friends from Mississippi and all the persons who I'd grown in, many from many other different places, Dan Cloggis from Alaska, and the guy who sent me to China, and lots of other friends, but they were all in this one place where I'd actually been living in Crystal River, but it was really strange because there was a whole community of everybody there. It was like the commune type situation, but then expanded into a city and other little resorts around, and even my mother was there rebuilding her house, and everything was just screwed up. It was not being done the best it could be or properly, in my view. I mean, I just see things in a different way. I try to be as earth friendly and as efficient in the way that I build things, for energy efficiency, for using alternative energies, and for strength and durability, long lasting, and for how Mother Earth, how it relates to Mother Earth, building eco-friendly. And none of that was going on, and I was doing everything I could to try to help persons who were asking me to come there, who were asking me to participate, and then wouldn't listen. They do things the old paradigm way, and everything was just screwed up, in my view, because I like to do things in such ways where I haven't got a lot of work to do and repeat with, where my time is focused on living life rather than solving the problems generated by doing things in not so good ways. And so anyway, after a few days of being there in my dream, I decided to leave, and I booked a ticket, and asked several of my friends and family members to take me to the airport, and we would always, here's where we were, and we'd always drive that 100 miles south of the airport, and then somehow something would happen and I would be discussing something with somebody else, and then around we'd go and we'd be right back where we started from. And I could not break the cycle, and I had several friends and family members that were trying to get me to the airport, or that I'd asked to get me to the airport, and we would always end up back in the trap. Once I got in, I couldn't get out. Well, yesterday as I came home and Tom had gone to the rehab hospital and his son was there and Kim was there, and I came back here, started looking at messages, and that was right at the time that we had a coronal mass ejection hitting yesterday that actually popped off on the 15th, June 15th, the same time when Tom said something huge was going to happen. Didn't arrive until the 17th. This was not solar flare related. It was a filament that burst, boom, and that CME came and caused a huge wave. Jillian Macbeth Luthen posted in her Quantum Awakening newsletter this morning about CMEs and solar flares and solar winds. Really, hers was about solar winds, but the CMEs do the same thing. They're just a lot more potent than typical solar winds. And how it affects us down to the deepest quantum levels, and it pushes our buttons, and the spiritual heat is put up under us or within us, and there's a purification that goes on. She's also talking about all the persons which are choosing not to go through, not to awaken, consciously choosing not to awaken. And that's exactly what we are dealing with persons with Tom. And it's just like my dream night before last, where I went home and so many people weren't awakening and they were continuing to do the same old things. Except yesterday was the real life illusion, reality of the dream the night before playing out as the CME is coming in. Anyway, I was sitting and going through messages and hearing how so many of us globally are sitting and watching the craziness that's going on with the persons who are not awakening, and those of us who are having to deal with it, but spiritually purifying ourselves and holding the energies and not getting involved, but being involved and holding the focus and the dreams for those who are not yet awakened. Partners of contrast for the experience. 12:55 as I look down. Happen to peek at that. That's interesting. About 8 o'clock last night, when Kim and I were very amazed that Tom had gotten out of the hospital and gone through his stroke and was doing so well, Kim got a call from Tom. He had left his. She always leaves his cell phone there so he can call her. And he got a call from her, and some things were going down at the hospital. Some things that I'm not going to say on this video because I don't wish to hurt anybody. I can only explain the experience, but I don't want it to cause harm to anybody. And I'm not posting a lot of my videos now that I am making, but I'm not posting them because in discussing the story and the experience of what I'm going through, it is I'm discussing the relationship that others are having within my experience. And when I do that, I certainly don't want to cause conflict or to hurt anybody else, but I can't do anything but tell the truth, the whole truth, the way that I see it, the way that I perceive it energetically, and be it my greatest state of being personally in my mastery, even though those others choose not to be. I see it all as a fantastically wonderful experience, and I'm grateful for those persons who are not awakening right now, because those of us who are need that. It's part of how we are going through our mastering process, how we're getting our buttons pushed, and how we're choosing to experience the whole thing. And I know that it's all perfect and in attune with the divine plan. I know that there's many, many timelines too, still going down, because we always have the ability to choose between this or that. Each time we choose this or that, we're stepping into different alternative timelines of experience. And it doesn't matter what the experience is, it's all going to lead back to the one. We're all going back to that one. That's what ascension is. There's just many paths that can go back to that one. Anyway, Tom called about 8 o'clock last night. Kim answered the phone, and he's very, very upset with some things that were happening around him at the hospital, and he hadn't been getting his medications to keep his blood pressure down, and he's having some anxiety because of an event that happened with some of the staff and their lack of attention to what was going on. And I could go into detail here, but if I was to do that, then I wouldn't publish this video. So I'm going to leave those details out. Those who are who are involved with this know exactly what's going on. Anyway, Tom said he thinks he's having another stroke because of these events. And I asked him, I was like, do you think we should go up there? And she's going, I'm getting ready to go to there now. And I jumped up, grabbed my shoes, got ready, and we jumped in the truck, drove up to the rehab hospital, and Tom was comatose. They were taking his blood pressure, and it was 230 over 120. And they called the paramedics to come get him and take him back to the intensive care and emergency room in the previous hospital that he had just left from earlier yesterday. And as we get into that hospital, same nurses and doctors and staff that we had been with before saw us coming back in, and they were asking questions about what was going on and some of the same situations that I'm hesitant to discuss here because I don't want to hurt anybody. I don't want to cause any problems for anybody. Kim was telling the staff in the ER what was going on, and that there were issues and problems, and that it really set off this next stroke level. They took Tom's blood pressure again, and again he was in the 230 range. Really, really high out there where you have things pop up top. And Tom's situation is different. Tom's situation is constricted rather than an aneurysm going boom and blowing out a vessel. So in a way, that's a good thing. He's got a good chance at healing through this as long as we can get his stress levels down. I had mentioned that we had video on this computer Tom having an experience both out of body with Metatron and Michael saying something big was going to happen on the 15th. And that was that CME incoming, which did not happen until the 17th. It didn't arrive at Earth until the 17th. And on the 17th, the Dookie really started hitting the fan and things really started getting crazy around here. And that seems to be going on globally. I'm hearing it everywhere. That was the 17th yesterday as it all unfolded. Tom had been not only crossing over in his remote viewing sessions, and there was one of the nurses in the same ER where he's at right now that was from the Vietnam era and had been stationed military bases all around and happens to be at this particular hospital, who was quite used to working with remote viewers. And that was huge. That was amazing in the first place, but huge because he understood what's going on here. It was interesting that the final nurse taking care of Tom was on SEAL Team 2 when the SEALs first started. When Kennedy called for him back the year I was born in '62, and about '64 or so, Tom was with SEAL Team 2. The last nurse that was taking care of Tom these past days, well, before he went to the rehab hospital, turned out her father was on SEAL Team 2, and her father and Tom were close, very, very close. How do these things happen? You know, there's not a whole lot of persons that were on SEAL Team 2, and especially way back when, and we end up in a hospital, and here we've got one of the nurses that takes care of the remote viewers, and another nurse that whose father was actually SEAL Team 2, and he's still alive. And wow is all I can say. It's in divine perfection. Other thing I have to say about the hospital is we created and generated a vortex over this past week and a half now since Tom's been in there, and there is power in that hospital now from this vortex that's like, from this portal that's like any natural vortex I've ever experienced. I mean, it is just super duper powerful. We're here for a greater reason. I'm not really sure, other than how everybody who comes in and out of that hospital is being affected by those vibrations that's coming through, and releasing the lower energies they carry within their field. There's a lot of people really resistant to that. They want to hold on to their lower energies. There's a lot of people that are really waking up and going, wow. And the staff within this hospital and how awake and aware they are, for many of them, is just truly amazing. So as we were going back in, I could feel the intensity of the energies. I didn't know whether it was that CME incoming, but I'd been feeling them for the past several days, how it was increasing every time I would come into the hospital and go take care of Tom. And anyway, Tom, as I said in one of the previous videos, which I'll publish today because Kim and Tom have said publish them, but don't publish the ones that we were actually witnessing inside of ICU. We're this Native American shaman is coming through Tom, and you can see the ceremony and the healing that's taking place there. We had shown Tom's son, and Tom's son thinks it's woo-woo and crazy, although I recognize the ceremony. I've seen it. I heard Tom speaking the Native American dialects, and I'm quite familiar with that. I felt it was Apache, and Trish Will came through with her message saying it's Navajo, and those are so similar anyway. I used to live in Hopi land right in the middle of both of them. And whatever, that shaman is a higher level of Tom. And last night, when Tom was comatose, and Kim and Tom's son Alan were telling him to come back. They'd open his eyes, and they'd be like that. He's like, come back, Tom, come back. Tom was out there. Tom's already said a couple of times when he's out there he doesn't want to come back because of the density of this planet. I'm in a neutral state about all this. I don't want to see him go, but I wanted to go quite a bit myself within this lifetime because of what I've had to deal with. The intensities of the density and the mission we're here to do. I know Tom can be just as powerful on the other side as he is on this side. So I'm kind of neutral in all this, although I don't want to see anybody pass. The biggest mastery to me is to transfigure the physical vessel and to bring it through the ascension process, do the ascension right here in this density. Anyway, about 30 or 45 minutes of being back in the intensive care unit or the emergency room. ICU at the hospital. Tom opened his eyes and he raises his left hand. He starts doing the ceremonies, light language. Again, there's a chanting going on. And Kim is standing to Tom's right side, and Alan, Tom's son, is on his left side and still saying, "You gotta come back, you gotta come back." And what was coming through was the healer side of Tom's shaman, Tom's fractal in a different existence, and they seem to be merging right now. Tom's son can't comprehend this. Tom's son did not know that Tom was a remote viewer and didn't know many of the things that he's told me about his experiences and told Kim about his experiences and the life that Tom lives. His son has been kind of estranged to him, and has spent several times going out and partying instead of being with his dad at his side and trying to understand what's going on. Tom's given him various paperwork, wanting them to read the paperwork, and there's the Judge Dale papers about what's going on with the financial system and you know, the government and everything, and Alan didn't want to read it. And so Alan's just shutting down completely and wanting to advance into the higher levels of understanding and even knowing what his father's about, knowing what remote viewing is about. He can't even believe that the government does these types of things for their intelligence, for the Central Intelligence Agency. That's we get a lot of data this way. There's a lot of us that just do this naturally. This is part of our playing in the spiritual realms. And Tom's son Alan just can't comprehend that stuff. He's a tugboat pilot moving coal for a coal-fired power plant, and has an RN nurse for a wife, and they perceive things on this level. And I don't even feel they're religious, but they're just playing the linear game, and it's okay. It's just fine. But it's come into conflict with this father's life and experience right now. Last night, as we were there, the shaman started coming through Tom again, and Tom's son got very upset with what he was seeing, feeling they needed to drug him. And I was telling him, this is more of that woo-woo stuff that you don't like there, Alan, and it's very real. You can't be bringing Tom back. Tom is not in his body at this point. He has stepped out of his body spiritually. His soul has left the body. And actually, not his soul has left the body, but that fractal of Tom has left the body, and the shaman is coming through. The shaman starts making the hand signals and chanting again. And I'm telling Alan that he really needs to allow this to unfold and not try to control and manipulate the situation. Tom's best friend Mike, just before he came out of the military, they were doing sessions 10 months ago, and was doing remote viewing. And Tom and Mike went out playing in the astral levels. Kim and Sandy were on this side. I heard the story as it was unfolding. And they were going out and doing work in the ethers, and something happened to Mike. Mike never came back. Mike dropped body. And I was telling Alan that this is what's going on, and you can't get in the middle of it and just pull him down, and you certainly don't want to drug him while he's in the middle of it. And best thing to do is to work with him and question him. Ask him what's going on the other side. He responds. He tells stories. He is bringing information through to this side from that side, even as the shaman. The shaman was speaking and using Spanish words. Tom doesn't speak Spanish. Tom doesn't speak Apache or Navajo either. And but the speech was quite fluent and in dialect, very clear. It's interesting also that when this happens to Tom, that there's no messing with the mouth, and that without looking, he knows exactly the hand signals and the positioning and where his other arm and what's going on with his arm that's paralyzed. He has not got to see out of these eyes, he's seeing out of this eye, and he knows exactly what's going on. Some people just think that's woo-woo, garbage, baloney, but it is so pinpoint, precise, perfectionate from my way of viewing. It's truly amazing to watch. It's even more amazing to film it. And as long as Tom's in the situation, I'm not going to release the films of the shaman coming through. We got more jets coming up, but see them right there? That's trainers going over. That's not the Raptors. The Raptors, when they were coming over, were directly over the house. That's the same type of planes that the, what is it? The Blue Eagles or Blue, whatever, Blue Angels fly. The trainer craft. 3333 is a look now. Completion. Anyway, as Tom was doing this, and I told Alan to back off. This is not about drugs. This is a way that you can lose your father if you put drugs into him, or you start trying to shake him awake, or you trying to say this doesn't exist. Tom can end up out there and not coming back. Well, Alan jumped up and blew his lid and said, "I'm sick of your woo-woo stuff." And I said, "It's not woo-woo. Here, you're watching it. I can tell you what's going on." He said, "I'm interfering with his recovery." And I said, "I'm not doing anything to interfere with his recovery. In fact, I'm trying to keep him from having something harm him so he can recover." And Alan bowed up. I thought he was getting ready to come after me. That would not have been good on his part. he goes around me, and he's gone for about 10 or 15 minutes and comes back with two police officers who asked me to step out of the emergency room and asked me what the problem is. I said, I have no problem. And Alan starts boasting off about he is his father's son and that he has all control of what goes on with his father, and that I'm trying to harm his recovery. And I said, I'm not at all trying to harm his recovery. I've never said anything about refusing him treatment. It's all up to Tom. It's Tom's decision. I agree that the Western medicine has its place in there. And I also know that we have to do some Eastern food medicine, which, just like his not being able to take a poo-poo for about 4 days, I just gave him a half quart of black cherry juice and said, you just wait 2 hours and he'll do it. He did it. Food's medicine. He had gout. He was being given morphine for pain. You don't give morphine for gout pain. You give blueberries. Tom didn't have any gout pain yesterday when we moved him out either. So I'm in a constant state of proving how nutrition can be used for these situations and how it works with the Western drugs, which help expand those blood vessels and allows the blood to flow to help relieve the blood pressure and the stroke that's going on. It works hand in hand. But the officers were asking me what I was doing to interfere, and I said, I'm not doing anything to interfere except telling you not to jerk him out of this blue heron coming over here. That's so cool. Don't jerk him out of these events, because you can lose him that way. Because it's soul that's literally moving out of the body, or another one coming in and aligning with the body and utilizing the body to heal the body. And so the police asked me, what's all going on? And I said, well, Tom's Navy SEAL Team 2. He was trained as a remote viewer as well as a deep water diver. Going on some of the deepest diving missions I've could relate to. 1,070 feet is pretty damn deep. And that as a remote viewer, many times he leaves body, and you can't mess with him when he's doing that, otherwise he might not come back, like what happened to his close friend Mike just a few months back. And the police really understood, but Tom's son Alan wanted to push his ego and say he's in absolute control, and that we needed to quit all this woo-woo stuff. And there's no quitting when somebody's spiritual. They're spiritual, and the problem is the woo-woo is those people that aren't awake, the sleeping people, the sheeple. Except I wasn't going to say that to his face, and I don't want to do anything to harm him, and I don't want to do anything to cut him down. That's just not what we're here to do. But this is literally the physical life and death of his father, and he doesn't understand how critical that is. He's not raising his intellect or even his soul to comprehend. And his father's done everything that he could, trying to set the stage for it. There's been so many friends coming in doing energy work and helping, and it's only Alan and his drug addict cousin that and I say that because that's what it is. It's not that I'm trying to cut him down. It's that the guy's coming in states that he should not be in that hospital and trying to dictate, tell what all is, and play those kind of games. Everybody who's watching this video will understand what I'm saying. And all I can do is call it like I see it. Anyway, Tom's son, I had witnessed a document where Tom signed yesterday giving his son power over medical treatment, and Kim signed it as the second, and it should have been Kim who was given that power over decisions, especially since Tom's son doesn't even live here. He lives in Kentucky. We're in Panama City, Florida. It's 10, 12-hour drive away. He's not even going to be here. He's got to go back. Why does somebody have control over functions who doesn't even know what's going on? It's like Washington, D.C. trying to tell the rest of the states how to operate. Can't do that. Doesn't work. Haven't we witnessed this long enough? So anyway, I witnessed the paper that Tom signed the permissions to his son, and that Kim was secondary in that, and me and the nurse witnessed the whole paperwork. And then last night I was kicked out of the hospital room, told I couldn't come back as long as his son's there. So about 1 o'clock this morning, actually it was before 1 because I noticed my last messages to Trish Will last night was at 12:22, of course. And this morning Tom has come back, and he is clear again. Doesn't seem like what unfolded yesterday had harmed him any. But Tom's son Alan wants his stuff out of Kim's house. Wants his daddy's shotguns. Wants his ducks and his hunting gear. And wow. Seems last night when Kim called him and told him what was going on. When Tom called Kim, and Kim calls Alan, Alan's out at a bar partying and couldn't answer the phone, but he goes into the bathroom and you can hear the music and other noise in the background as he does return the call. This is the type of stuff we're dealing with. It is so very interesting to get online today on 6/18/2014 and see what is going on here with us is not unique. The actual details of the experience may be unique, but the craziness as the third dimensional and the fifth dimensional world separate, and you've got that middle ground, the battle for Middle Earth, fourth dimension, right in the center. It's interesting to see this experience happening with so many of us as we're all fractalizing out and playing out similar experiences. Really amazing. I keep getting told in my messages, just hold steady. Hold, don't do anything. Just hold my emotions. Just be level. Be the balance. Be the rock. And that seems to be, boy, I'm really testing it. I am really, really testing it. And here comes that trainer again. They sure are cool. I don't know if you can see it. It's like one of the Blue Angels trainers. Those Raptors sure were cool. They came over and they're just at stall speed going like that. And then you barely hear them as they're coming at you. And when they pass over you, that was bizarre. All morning long. Well, we're here to balance the energies. We're here to level it out. There's a major triggering with all these cosmic events, that's really purifying us in a great, great way. A lot of it's designed to push our emotional buttons so we can see what's going on and master that, so we're not sending out these upsets and these thoughts and frequencies that that aid in creation of what we don't want. Our thoughts and our emotions are creating our reality. Our intent is creating our reality. And what we're seeing out there, as long as we can constantly be sending it love, even though we might not like what we're seeing, even though we might not like it that it's trying to trigger us, that it's pushing buttons and turning switches on and off, as long as we can hold balance, we're aiding the change of the whole greater picture. And we're helping to neutralize these crazy effects, because everybody on this planet is being affected by that CME that hit yesterday. These things are happening over and over. It looks now that we're going to be in the solar lull for a potential of the next 40 years or so. We had another one of these back in, I think it was the 1600s. The records are showing how what we're experiencing right now actually unfolded then. That was the time of the Inquisition and Ascension time, the time of many witches out there going through there, or warlocks, or persons raising their frequency and rebelling against the religious sector and the domination by the powers that be, powers that were, over getting ruled. That's kind of what the Inquisition was all about right there. And they tried killing a lot of people during that time, burning them at the stake and all that, drowning them to see if they're a witch. If you drown, you weren't a witch. If you float, we're going to burn you at the stake. So either way, you got a problem. It's really amazing to watch what all is going on in persons that are awake and aware in what we're having to do to go through all this and tame it to bring us into a collective ascension. And it certainly is all coming down right now. I look back and I'm just totally amazed at Tom's calling me here, calling me here, calling me here. All the messages that were coming through that, just like the crystals, he was saying somebody will deliver. So he's receiving a message from Metatron, who he was newly introduced to. And those crystals had just walked into my life the day after I called them forth, and then they're being brought here. It's just the whole thing is just a giant miracle. That's wow. And I'm interested to see what's getting ready to happen with Tom. I was talking to my friends Carrie Ellis and Teddy Mulder, and Teddy, her husband Jack, had a series of strokes in the 1990s, and as he came out, a similar thing was happening, and his best work followed the years that followed until he finally passed. And seems like that's what's happening with Tom. It's a most amazing thing to witness. It's the most amazing thing to feel this density of the two different worlds, the 3D and the 5D, overlaid at the same time, and to see persons in the middle waking up and choosing either to go back to sleep or go the other way, and those who are in that 3D going, no, I don't want to wake up. And so, most amazing time to be here and alive. I had actually come to develop the alternative energy trailers and the wind turbines with Tom, and to do a permaculture garden, organic garden on this place, along with aquaponics, and how all that is tied into person's still holding the 3D energies, and everything's at a stop right now simply because of this situation with Tom. And he was saying, just like he was laughing when I was talking about how important it is to build these energy devices and propulsion mechanisms, and he was laughing and saying, nope, it's holding the dream. It's holding the dream. And I get that now. I got it then. I knew it before. It's just sometimes I'm like that. I got to get cranked back up into that memory of how to cut the grass and keep it all leveled out. Hope you asked them. Oh man! I turned around just in time to see this bullet jump out of the water that's right here next to me. Oh, so much fun. I'm getting ready to go get a fishing license and a net and start fishing again. I love the purity of the water here, and it's a good time for that. Anyway, since they're cutting grass, I'm gonna bid y'all adieu. Love y'all. Bye for now. Wow. Okay, it ended right as I said that. Maybe I won't. How amusing. Anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and post all of the videos that I've done outside of the hospital this past week, and not the ones inside the hospital, because I was asked not to until Tom comes from the hospital. And the shaman videos, they're very, very, very amazing, and I've got them, but I've got to have everything clear and in a situation where it's not going to cause anybody any problems by releasing those. It's truly an incredible documentary of the other side. Anyway, I'll leave it at that. Love y'all. Bye for now.